Guys, welcome back. This is Bar Ships and Bullshit. I'm your host, Jay Bird, and this is Lily Lavender coming to you for your first outside podcast interview. We're outside that Oyster House in Asheville, Oyster Brewing Company. It is on 625 Haywood Road in Asheville, in North Carolina. And we got Steph here. She's been bartending here for about how long?
I've been here for 10 years.
Wow. Oh, crap.
Yeah, I've been working here on Haywood Road for 10 years now at the Oyster House.
Huh.
Have you bartended anywhere, any other locations as well?
Yeah, I've been working in Asheville for about 15 years. So
you've been in...
I've been here most of my time in town.
Okay.
Wow.
Now, and you're local to North Carolina, correct?
I'm originally from New Jersey, but I've been here for about 18 years.
18 years. So yeah, you're local. I mean,
Yeah.
Anybody that can spend that amount of time in Asheville is considered a North Carolinian at this point. So we're all about finding like hole in the wall places or hidden gems, and we've been here a couple times, and we've really, really enjoyed our experiences here. Just because it's been a whole lot different. But we wanted to kind of elaborate what separates this location from any other location in Asheville or any other bar for that instance.
Yeah.
Wondering if you could add some enlightenment on that.
Yeah, there's a few things that I think the Oyster House offers that you can't find in other places. One, it's a seafood New Orleans vibe, selling raw oysters, but it has a dive bar kind of feel,
Right.
which you can't always get that kind of comfort in a bar that sells higher priced items like oysters.
Right. Well,
So
that was kind of what attracted us, is that we were able to get really, really good seafood, but still be comfortable and be good around the situation. We don't feel like we have to be overly dressed. We can shoot the shit and have a good time.
Yeah. And we were actually recommended this place from a friend of mine out in Bryson because she's originally from Asheville, and she gave 2 locations, but we chose to come here first.
yeah, so there's a common misconception between the Oyster House and the Lobster Trap that's downtown.
I think that's the one.
That was the one.
Right, so the owner originally started brewing beer when he worked at the Lobster Trap.
Uh-huh.
So he started Oyster House Brewing Company, the brewery's name, while he worked at the Lobster Trap.
Oh, wow.
Then he opened his own brick and mortar brew pub.
Oh, that's awesome.
So the actual brewery beer side started before the food pub.
Oh.
So people sometimes think that we're the same business,
Uh-huh.
but we're separate.
It's actually a whole lot cooler because it started like this person actually worked at another restaurant and started something. From scratch.
Yeah.
So, that's not something you really hear about very often. A lot of people either have money up front, or a lot of people assume that they come from wealthy families. To see somebody like actually put hard work and effort into building something all on their own, it's kind of a different world.
That was a big reason why I wanted to work here, was because I knew I was working for somebody that was like me.
Somebody that gets it.
Yeah.
That just started from doing what he likes to do and working in a bar and made it happen.
So that's why you picked this location.
And that's why I ended up coming to work for Billy here. Yeah, I'd known him from being a customer at his bar when he worked at the Lobster Trap.
Oh, wow.
And he's a local from West Asheville, so we've just known each other around the neighborhood.
That's
So
pretty awesome.
You've got a lot of good memories, a lot of good times here at this location. Is there anything that kind of sets it out, any kind of memories or any kind of big stories that you can tell us that you've enjoyed from your time here?
Gosh, I've been here a long time. There's a lot of really cool things about it in general. I've made a lot of friends. We have a large clientele of locals, so a lot of people that come here live in the neighborhood, and I live in the neighborhood, and the owner lives in the neighborhood, and I would say 90% of the staff live in the neighborhood.
So it's just one big family all the way around.
Yeah. So we've had a lot of movement, just going out to the neighborhood bars when we're done here.
So I can see how you could get trapped here.
That's what we tend to do.
We always get like a hometown feeling, and if we feel like we're just accepted there, we kind of get attached to it pretty quick.
Yeah.
And we also noticed that you guys always have like a pretty good variety of different oysters from different locations. I was wondering who brought on that idea.
Well, actually, the oysters come originally because of our flagship beer, which is the Moonstone Oyster Stout.
Okay.
So the oyster stout's made with oysters. during the brewing process.
Really?
Right, so the oysters get put in during the boil. It really lends minerality.
Wow.
Yeah, so the people sometimes get put off by that because they think that the beer is going to taste like seafood
And
or
it
taste like
doesn't.
oysters. No, the point is the flavor comes from the boil of the shell, so it lends a minerality to the
Okay.
beer,
That's pretty neat.
which is also they say that minerality lends to the limestone type waters in Ireland, which makes the Guinness.
Yeah.
So our oyster stout's on nitro. It kind of has that same kind of feel as a Guinness. It's the same alcohol percentage. It's a low ABV. And because we would be getting oysters in regularly to make beer,
Right.
then the oysters became part of the menu.
That's actually really awesome. So what all locations do you get oysters actually shipped from? No, it's not always the same.
We get them from all along the eastern seaboard, from Canada, Prince Edward Island, Nova Scotia, New Brunswick, and then also Massachusetts, Maine, Connecticut, New Jersey, New York, Virginia, North Carolina, sometimes Florida, very rarely the Gulf Coast,
Yeah.
but sometimes occasionally if it's the right location on the Gulf, we'll pick them up.
Now, do you guys ever come into issues with like shipping and trying to get the products here?
The oysters can be problematic sometimes when there is a hurricane or some type of storm off of the coast. Then the oyster beds will freeze, or not like literally freeze, but the oyster beds will have a halt in production because of the waters, and then we may run into a problem. But typically not for long enough to cause us to have zero oysters.
Now, because of working here, do you think that you know more now about seafood than you ever thought you would in your entire life?
Absolutely. I can look at an oyster and most likely tell you where it comes from.
Yeah.
I worked in wine bars. I worked in a wine bar for a number of years once, and I could then, tell the difference between a Pinot Noir in one location versus another sometimes just by looking at it. And now I have that.
So you're kind of just
Oysters.
immersing yourself into it.
When
Which
you
is,
see them all the time and you get an idea of different locations, what they look and taste like.
yeah.
So one of our topics for the podcast was going to be whether bartending is a career versus bartending just to get by. And it sounds like you completely immersed yourself in the business, that it's more of a career driven because of everything you got to know about the oysters, how they're made, how you get them, and then how you guys brew everything.
Yeah, I think that it varies for different people, but I have always taken pride in what I do for a living, and I think that I kind of take on this idea that I'm like the facilitator of a good time.
Yeah.
So the best way for me to be able to facilitate people having fun is to do what I would want, which is give them knowledge about what they're going to enjoy.
Yeah.
When it comes to food, drink, atmosphere.
So knowing your product and how to sell it is usually a huge advantage point in how you promote a business.
Well, yeah, I think having the knowledge and also letting other people know what they're getting, because in this business sometimes it can be seen that you're there to only make money for the business and for yourself. A higher check average means a higher tip. But if you actually just sell what is good, then everybody's on an even playing field, I think. So I can make more money, the business can make more money, and the people can enjoy themselves. It's like everybody wins.
Yeah.
As opposed to just being like, oh, get the expensive thing.
Yeah.
Regardless of if you need it or want it, or if it's something that I believe in.
Well, we kind of had we had a really, really good experience the first time we kind of snuck in here.
Yeah.
And we had noticed, all the different varieties of different locations. And it never had dawned on me that we could have oysters from different locations. That's not been my experience with seafood. I've worked in fine dining; they offer seafood, but you never really understand where it comes from, or that it could even offer a different taste.
Yeah.
So we spent all evening like just trying all different oysters. We got like a huge platter, and then we actually ended up doing shots, which we were very much attracted to.
Yeah.
Like oyster shooters. And we always kind of try to make our buddies do the same thing if we bring it by.
And they
See
had
if
fun.
can handle it. Yeah, we had a really good experience, and it was fun watching them. A lot of them don't really, handle oysters all that well, and it was actually fun to actually. We like to torture kind of people every so often, so it was fun watching them try to suckle those down. But it was a very good experience. We had a whole lot of fun. But as far as bartending goes, do you really see yourself doing anything else, or or is this just something that you fell into?
I originally thought I would do this after college to be able to travel around, to make some money, to not feel like I was tied down to anything.
Right.
After so many years of schooling, all of a sudden you're 22, you're like, I don't want to just stay put.
Yeah.
And this was a way to be able to make money around the country. And then now here I am, 20 years later.
So what made you stick to here for 18 years?
Well, I did travel in between. I was in and out of Asheville within that time, but I have been here 10 years since my last traveling experience. So I've been just working at the Oyster House for these last 10 years, and I don't know what kept me stay put. I guess the job, partly. The job has allowed me freedom to vacation quite a bit. There were a number of years when I would be on 8 to 10 weeks vacation a year. So.
Well, it's funny I'm from Cherokee. Like, I'm Cherokee born and raised. She's
from San Diego.
She's from San Diego, but she's been kind of stuck here. But we always had a saying over in Cherokee: the mountains will either trap you and keep you here if it's accept you, or it's just not meant for you, and it has a way of like forcing you out. And I've always found it like a natural thing that like people that are just drawn to this area naturally tend to stay here for a lifetime. They can always see themselves going to other places. Like myself, I love to travel. I love to go to other places. But the older I get, the more I see myself. I don't really see myself going and being anywhere else for any substantial amount of time.
But what kind of crowd tends to come here that you've noticed?
I think it's mostly a local crowd. Asheville's been changing quite a bit in these last 10 years too. So it's changing, and then with COVID also some things have changed. But we tend to keep mostly, surprisingly, a lot of locals. I would say 70% local.
Oh, wow.
And then maybe, we have, tourists, of course, because of the brewing company, and people come to Asheville to go to different breweries. But we're not highly publicized. We don't necessarily publicize ourselves a lot, and we're not maybe some of the more well-known high-money breweries that there are in town that everybody knows about when you get here to go to.
That's true, and they tend to pull in like that party crowd. Do you guys ever get a party crowd here, or is it just
not so
low-key?
We did in the earlier years, but I think too is because in the beginning it wasn't as saturated with business as it is now. I think there's a lot of places for people to go.
Right.
And I think this is kind of the spot to go and have something good to eat, have some oysters, hang out. It's relaxed, but also it's not a party. And I think that we kind of attract those types of more professional crowd in a way.
Just down home, mellow, easy going.
Yeah, I think we get a lot of. I always joke that we have like the contractors, it's not necessarily because the price, because oysters are expensive and the price point is a little bit higher. We don't necessarily have the super blue collar crowd, but we also don't have the white collar, professional business crowd. We have like the hard working kind of middle middle class crowd.
Would you kind of discuss how you guys brew your beer and then like different things that kind of tell you apart as far as like where you get stuff and like how you get product and stuff here? But do you have any more signature cocktails or something that you guys are known for, other than necessarily like the beer and how it's brewed or the oysters and where they come from?
Well, as we had said, the Moonstone Oyster Stout beer and then our Imperial Oyster Stout. Those two beers are the main attraction, I would say. We offer beer, we offer wine, and we offer liquor, but we don't promote that side of our bar scene necessarily, except for, as you had already alluded, the shooters.
Yeah.
So we offer the raw oyster in the shot glass with cocktail, horseradish, lemon, and then your choice of vodka, tequila, mezcal, and the other night, somebody asked for it with Jameson.
Ooh.
Oh.
So
Yes.
Jameson's our bread and butter.
Yeah.
And actually, before he got the Jameson, he first asked for it with rum, and I was shocked.
Yeah.
And I think I embarrassed him with my shock because you have anything that you want to have. Mm-hmm. Please, if you want it with rum, but I had never, ever heard. I've heard people try it with whiskey. Gin, fine. Usually it's vodka or tequila. Mezcal is nice. But rum, I had never even thought. It never crossed my mind to drink rum with horseradish and cocktail sauce.
But now I'm kind of curious as to how it tastes with Jameson.
He went for Jameson after I shamed him into not getting the rum. But I think that would be like if we had a signature cocktail type thing.
Yeah.
It would be the oyster shooter.
And we love the oyster shooters.
We
usually we kind of slowed it down, but we usually do about 4 or 5 just because we get, stuck on. It never dawned on me that we get it with Jameson. We're Jameson sticklers. That's our drink. That being said, do you guys do shift drinks like as an employee here, like after work, or do you wind down? What do you do?
Well, usually, things always change. We used to, hang out here quite a bit after our shifts, but we used to be open for lunch. So now when we're closed, and we can't be having drinks after our shift is over because when we're closed, we can't. Right. But there will be, there is a staggering, if somebody opens the kitchen, and they're out, by 8 o'clock, and we're still open.
Yeah.
So then it's just 2 people.
Right.
But back when we had lunch shifts, there would be more shift drinks, and also we used to be open later before COVID. So there would be some time, where there would only be one bartender working, and we had a lot of the staff even just come on their day off.
Right.
To meet up with each other when they got done with their shift.
Well, Lily and I will always have this, like on our days off. We usually have a notorious habit for visiting each other. We work at different locations.
Yeah.
But like she'll come visit me at my location, and then she has her signature cocktails that she always gets, which is usually Jameson ginger. And I'll do the same thing to her, and then like we go visit each other at work. So that's our version of shift drinks.
Right.
It is.
And I was kind of curious what you usually like. What is a day off for you? Like if you're
we have a few bars in the neighborhood that those are like the go-to spots for the staff after their shifts. We meet up either down in DeSoto or over here at the country club, which are basically, I noticed, no matter what, it's whatever's closest.
Right.
Yeah.
It's not necessarily, it turns out to be because the bartender's there or because the people are there, but it starts off, you go to the place that's closest to your work. You get done with work and you just go to the closest bar.
So we did a stat on our last episode that more than 80% of bartenders judge a customer by what they drink. And we're no different. We do the same thing. And we was wondering if that ever hits home for you. Do you ever, like if somebody comes up and orders something kind of specific, we was wondering if you have any judgments on the customer world that if they come and order it, like what throws you off?
You can start that before they order it. Right? I already know. I know what they're gonna. I'm like, oh yeah,
Yeah.
she's gonna want a Chardonnay.
For sure. Yeah.
Do you ever make a game out of it?
I had previously, yeah. We used to have bingos and make bingo sheets
Yeah.
and things like that. But yeah, you can have a judgment on what you think, and then you can get shocked sometimes too. You know, that lady you think's gonna have Chardonnay orders a Woodford straight up.
Oh man, yes.
And then you're like, oh, don't judge.
Well, I always have this, like, I had a guest come up when I was working at a casino. I had a guest come up, really, really pretty woman. It really caught me off guard. The first thing she was ordering was shots of Jameson. And I was like, you know what, this is my kind of girl. That's kind of what I like. But her boyfriend, however, came out and ordered a Truly, a seltzer, and I couldn't help but laugh. Like even my bartender was like trying to calm me down. I couldn't stop laughing naturally. And so I got her the whiskey, and I looked at her, and I was like, "See, serious? Like he's playing with me, right?" She was like, "No, like he wants Truly." And I was like, "All right, well, I'm gonna go get a Truly for my lady friend." Like, well, we were mean. Like, that's just something that goes on. No judgments, but at the same time, all judgments.
There's a thing here is because, as I said, the beer's the focus, and we offer booze, but we're definitely Jameson and ginger, rum and Coke. You can get a margarita, you can get a Long Island. That's about where anything special comes. And of course, anywhere you can get a martini, and of course you can have a martini here or a Bloody Mary because it goes great with oysters. But when somebody comes in asking for one of those specialty cocktails that would be on a cocktail bar's cocktail list, with some type of cordial that we just are 100% not having.
Yes.
Like, oh, you were in the wrong place.
Well, if you're coming here for any kind of like mixed drinks or layered drinks, probably.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
You're like, oh, this is not. Or even, sometimes we don't make Manhattans. We don't have a license for vermouth, and we don't make Manhattans. Like, we're Woodford on the rocks.
Yeah.
We have great bourbon. We have Woodford. We have Basil Hayden's. We have Four Roses. You can get a good bourbon, but you're not getting it mixed in a fancy.
And you come to locations for like this when you're going for the straight for the rocks kind of drinks. And there's nothing wrong with that. That's usually our go-to when we go.
It is.
I feel like if you're going for an old fashioned or a Manhattan or Negroni or anything to that aspect, you're going to a fine dining restaurant.
Yeah.
And not that I don't enjoy those drinks, but at the same time, we know where to get them. And like, I'm not going to go to a local dive bar or a local hole in the wall and expect.
But believe it or not, a lot of customers don't realize that there's a difference in each location and that you can't get certain drinks from certain locations.
Right. Well,
That's been kind of one of the things that's kept me working here is the fact that we are what we are.
And you guys add a variety of things.
Yeah, we have everything that you might want within reason, and we haven't, succumbed to pressure to go, big or different as so many places in Asheville have.
Yeah.
We offer a cab and a Pinot Noir. There's no wine list. Like, there's 6 wines.
Right.
If you want white, we have these 3. If you want red, we have these 3. They're all $8, so they're not, cheap wine, but they're not expensive. And that's what you can have.
I think when coming into certain locations, that's more than what you can ask for, and be satisfied with a certain restaurant. And the food here is definitely great. I'm a huge fan
Of the hush puppies.
of the hush puppies. That's always the killer, man. And I tried to steal the recipe last time I was here.
Yes, you did.
And they were very secretive about it, with good reason, man. That's some good stuff, and I'm all about some hush puppies. Like, you can tell by size that I haven't missed many meals. I could go to town on them.
Yeah.
The oysters are great, and a lot of variety up here, guys. You get a chance to enjoy it. But is there anything that you're going to take away from this place if you ever leave?
Well, I'm going to take a lot of things with me. I'm going to take a lot of knowledge.
Yes.
From New Orleans style food to making beer to making friends.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's been a great job. It's a great location, and it's nice working for people that are regular people it's like a family. So it's really
Uh-huh.
nice.
Well, guys, this is Jay Bird and Lily Lavender with Bar Shifts and Bullshit. Thank you so much for our first interview outside of the studio. Guys, this is Asheville Oyster House Brewing Company
In Asheville.
in Asheville, 625 Haywood Road. Please stop by and see Steph and see the crew down here. It has been awesome, and we've enjoyed every single encounter that we can. And until next time, guys.
Thanks.